Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from around the world, we are back here on Can You Dig Sports Radio. This is In The Huddle. And to close out this show with our final thoughts, I do want to pass over the rock to Isaiah, who just got some breaking news buzzing in right now. So this is why you tune into the show. We got the exclusives. We got the news. Isaiah, take us away.
So according to BNO Newsroom on Twitter, Japanese government declared a state of emergency in Tokyo due to coronavirus just 2 weeks before the Olympics.
Wow. Zach, when you hear that, man, what comes to mind?
Yeah, so I'm looking at the story going on right now, and it's crazy because one thing about the Olympics is every country is being represented in multiple sports. And one of the things about COVID that I've found so fascinating is how every country and every place's policies and process, they're totally different. And that is not going to change when it comes to COVID in the Olympics, because if this is a major problem, obviously the news just came out, what happens if half the countries there say, oh, we're good, most of our athletes are vaccinated, we're good and ready to go, and what if other countries don't feel comfortable? Vaccinations could be another thing that come into play in terms of if you're vaccinated or not. How big of an effect is that going to have on the season? And another thing, there have been some people protesting the Olympics. Apparently, no one is allowed to wear any BLM gear to anything. Also, the Sha'carri Richardson situation, which we're going to get into in a second. So I think as we get closer and closer, there could be some controversies coming up with the Olympics that I think going in, not a lot of us may have considered.
Yeah, I mean, look, we thought, I'll say this news right here is basically showing the America, or should I say the world, because it's not only in America, that we're not out of the woods yet. And I know that the vaccines got pushed out, they got rolled out, some people taking it, some people saying kick rocks. But at the end of the day, as far as us as a people together, as a country, as the world, we're not out the woods yet. And this is another situation right here, because we all thought that everything was starting to get back. I thought that the Olympics was a full go. Last year at this time, I was like, how the hell are they going to pull it off? But, coming close to it, I thought they was going to be able to pull it off. But obviously it's not. And it falls right into the next topic that we have, because, we're going to talk about Sha'carri Richardson not being able to run in the Olympics, but they might not be one. So it might not even be a massive topic, but I still want to get into it. But before I do, Isaiah, you're the one that broke us the news. What are your thoughts on it real quickly?
It's just a scary time, because what if this report would have happened once the Olympics started, and then the Tokyo, Japan then goes to the state of emergency in Tokyo when all the athletes from all around the world, the best athletes all around the world, are in Tokyo performing for the countries. That would have been a scarier thing, because now we're like, all right, why wouldn't we wear this before? It's just a scary time, because all these vaccinations don't even guarantee that the COVID, you're immune completely from COVID. You can still get the symptoms, you can still become very sick, but it still comes a time where we don't really know 100% on what's going on, and we don't have all the the data to say, yeah, we're fine. Just to get the vaccination, you could just go out and compete in the Olympics, because now Tokyo is even going for a state of emergency, and it's just a scary time. But hopefully, I don't know, what can everything clear up in 2 weeks? I doubt you could clear a state of emergency in 2 weeks. So we just have to see what precautions are going to be taken moving forward. I mean, we don't know if there's an Olympics even going to happen. But even besides that, Sha'carri Richardson, that's another tragic topic of her getting overlooked for the relay race. That's just disgusting. I don't know who wants to start it off. That's a disgusting topic.
And as we get into that, I just want to say that one thing I like about my radio career and working with Zach along in the process and working on In The Huddle is that I've been there for everything, bro. I've been there when Kobe Bryant died. I had a show right after that the next day. I've been there when Nipsey Hussle died. I did 2 college shows. My last college shows was during the height of the pandemic, breaking out information, breaking out news, getting callers on the show. And now we got the exclusive breaking news as well. So that just shows you how, even though we look at this Zach and we look at this Isaiah as something that we do for fun, I really think it's bigger than what people really believe. And when we talk to our grandkids and our children in the future, we're going to say we was able to do this. Maybe not at the highest of levels, but when things was going on in the world during the quarantine, we put out content, we put out episodes. So it shows you how the brotherhood of In The Huddle stays strong and will continue to evolve in the next couple of years. But moving on to the Sha'carri Richardson situation, I actually have a change of heart. And I'm just gonna react off of what I feel is right. At the end of the day, as far as her being suspended for the entire Olympics, that's a one thing. But as far as the trouble that she got into, but as far as, the marijuana, we all know marijuana does not harm anybody. And I said that before, and it sucks. But at the same time, I think that there has to be a level of accountability, because at the end of the day, as much as I hate the rules, and as much as anybody can hate the rules are the rules. And the rules say that marijuana is banned from the Olympics. So if that's the rules, you got to live with it. And I know athletes, these days we can complain about athletes not being able to be human for a day. It comes with the territory. Look, I went to Catholic school for high school, right? And we had to be different outside of school. We couldn't be like the public school kids. We couldn't get in fights in the streets, even if it had nothing to do with the school. We had to represent the school with our uniform and the way how we carried ourselves outside. But it came with that responsibility, being privileged enough to pay for a Catholic school, So it's a certain way you have to carry yourself when you're an athlete. And I think that in this situation, you knew the rules, and whatever you was going through at the time is going to hurt because you're not going to be able to compete for the finals, in the Olympics. So at the end of the day, I really feel like as a community, as people, as African Americans, we need to help our people by not just feeling sorry for them, but explaining to them, these are the ways how you get in trouble. Isaiah, I know you probably heard this term before. Free my bro, free my homie. But nobody's telling that homie when he's doing what he's doing, don't get into that. Because you're going to end up here. It's always free bro. But don't do it, bro. Don't do it, bro. So in this situation, when I had time to digest and move off of my personal emotion, she messed up when she did the marijuana. And that's just what it is.
One thing I will say that I keep on having a tough time, and I've been evaluating the situation for a while. And I agree, Lil, when you say 100%, like, rules are rules, and no one is going to sit here and say marijuana is a drug that makes you a better track runner. It's harmless. It's the opposite of a PED. What I keep on having a very hard time understanding is that this woman, Sha'carri Richardson, great athlete, one of the best runners in the world. So she said she was having trouble with the loss of her mom and going through personal things. I totally understand that. But where I keep coming back to is that why did she knowingly take marijuana when she knew the rules and she knew that this was going to happen? It's not like she didn't know the rules and it just surprised her. And as you said, you can disagree with the rules all you want, but that's kind of what I keep coming back to. Like, why did she do that when she knew it was going to be a result of her getting suspended? And I know it's easy for me to say, but when you have a dream of being one of the best runners in the world and winning a gold medal, you're like, I'm not trying to criticize her. I'm just trying to think, like, she really said, like, okay, I'm really going to take the marijuana over this right now. I have a hard time. I just keep coming back to that,
I think it's the mindset, before you get in here, Isaiah, of, we all had that mindset growing up where we were more worried about now and we're not really thinking about the long-term effects. We human. At the end of the day, she's human. I'm human. I've been through that before, where like I'm just going to focus on right now and what helps me deal with a situation right now and kind of like overlook what could be the ramifications of what I'm doing right now. And she's young. How old is she? 15, 16? Anybody got her age by any chance? She's young, So yeah, I want to side with her and I want to see her run because she's talented. But at the same time, these are the life lessons that you have to learn.
Yeah, she's 21, by the way.
Oh, 21. Okay, yeah. So, this is around the age where you start to mature. This is the age you should mature. I don't know about today's generation. We all know, but this is the age you should mature around this age. So, yeah, she's learning. She's going to learn from this.
I mean, I think, again, like she was disqualified for the 100 meter in the Olympics. So her suspension for the 30 days, I believe, or 45. I forgot how long it was, but it was right before the relay race. And I don't agree that she wasn't picked up for that relay race team. I understand rules are rules, but she was still eligible to join that relay race team to showcase her skills for the Olympics. I just don't agree with their decision to overlook her because of her suspension, to say, yeah, you broke the rules, so you're not going to come to Tokyo at all. I thought the Olympics was about having the best athletes represent the country, not, oh, we're going to pick and choose who comes to represent us, just because one doesn't break the rules and the other one does. And like you said, it wasn't a PED. It wasn't a performance enhancing drug. It was marijuana, which is legal, starting to become legalized. But and it's just like, it doesn't really feel right that she was she wasn't put onto that relay race team. Like, she was a fantastic runner. People said she's a great runner. She should represent the country. And I understand that the marijuana offense is it looks bad on the image, and they say, oh yeah, she smokes weed. She shouldn't be allowed to run, and it looks bad on our image.
Let me ask you a question, Isaiah, and this is a question that I'm really curious to know your opinion. Do you think there's any politics involved when it comes to this? Because that's why I kind of feel like you're leaning towards. So I want to know if you feel that way, and because I'm not saying I don't agree with that, but I want to know your thoughts. Do you think there's some politics involved why she was dropped for the Olympics?
100% politics. I think in politics, marijuana is still looked upon as a bad thing to do. So, of course, I believe the politics is 100% within this, because if she's eligible to run for the relay race and you overlook her just because whatever, like the coach, I don't even know if anyone's even saying anything about her being overlooked for the relay race. They're just saying, yeah, she was overlooked because she was disqualified for the 100-meter. Like, no, clearly stated she could have ran for the relay race even after her suspension. So her suspension would have been lifted right before that the relay race would have taken place, and she could have been selected for that team and participated in the Olympics. The fact that she was overlooked, I definitely believe politics are involved.
And that's the thing, because I can sit here and agree that there is some level of politics involved. Trust me, I know, I can see from a lens where that is true. But at the same time, if you're Sha'carri Richardson, you don't want to put yourself in that predicament in the first place. And that's why I'm kind of getting at. I touched on the politics before when we initially did our reactions. But in this one, I'm saying before the politics was even involved, you put yourself in that predicament, by doing what you knew was against the rules. So I have to leave it at that.
I have one quick thing, a question to both of you guys. If do we, and I hate to be this guy because I was the one that was opposed to it, people making this comparison to Michael Phelps and Sha'carri Richardson. So, Michael Phelps had the picture of him smoking weed and doing stuff like that. And then but that was after the Olympics. But then he had like a 3-month suspension, if I'm not mistaken. Lost all his advertisements and then went to do the next Olympics. If Sha'carri Richardson is unable to participate in these next Olympics, even though she faces suspension and goes on to the next one, why was Michael Phelps able to just go after his suspension and go into the next Olympics as if nothing ever happened?
I think that just shows the problem that's at hand, my guy, and that's really what is unfortunate about this whole situation. Like, I'll sit here and say, look, like, as much as we don't like the rules, she broke the rules, so we can't really argue with her being suspended for the first place. But like, now that she's not selected, I just think this is the first time in the situation where it's like, okay, it could really be more than just athletes breaking rules.
Yeah, and if you're Sha'carri Richardson, this probably could be a blessing in disguise for you, because look, when all those doors closed on myself, it just made me hungrier. So your talent, you're one of the best in the sport. You take this lesson, you learn from it, and that should give you that urge for the next time we get around this time. And that's what sucks about the Olympics, is that it's a 4-year event and it's the be all end all. So you kind of got to wait 4 years, and it sucks. 4 years is 4 years, y'all. It is what it is. We was in a pandemic within a year from a regular society. So anything can happen in 4 years, but at the end of the day, you just have to let it drive you and get the best out of you, going forward.
Agreed.
Any last comments on this, boys? It's been a great show with you guys. Always good chopping it up on In The Huddle with you guys.
Yes, sir, man. I can't wait to be back here on the next episode, recapping Game 2 of the NBA Finals and giving our little reaction, see what the public thought about our list. You know, our rankings, my top 32 quarterbacks. So, Zach, I'm looking forward to it. And shout out to you guys, man. It was a great show today.
Always love hanging with you guys, talking sports, and yeah, always good. In the Huddle, Can You Dig Sports? Right here today.